What's up, everybody? My name is Cody Yard, and I am the host of The Buzz with the Fuzz. It's Apple Valley's Police Department podcast. We're going to do some fun stuff with this thing. We're going to do chatting with the chief. We're going to do some Q&As, and we're going to do some longer format podcasts where we sit down with folks from specialty units, and you guys get to learn about who they are and what they do. I got my start in journalism back in 2002 as a combat correspondent in the United States Marine Corps. Really excited to be the host of this podcast here with the police department, and I'm really looking forward to bringing you some new fun facts and information that you might not know about Apple Valley's police department. So stick around, buckle up, and let's have some fun. Welcome back, folks. This time on the podcast, we have got somebody who's not on the police side of City Hall here, but we have a special guest from the fire side. Colleen, welcome in.
Hello, thank you.
Colleen, what do you do for the fire department?
I am the fire inspector, primarily. That's my job title, and that's mostly what I do during the day, is fire inspections to ensure code compliance and fire prevention and safety in most commercial buildings.
What does a day-to-day routine look like for you?
Well, I start my day from Fire Station 2. That's our new, beautiful station at Galaxy and 140th. And I put my turnout gear in the truck just in case. And I take the truck, and whether I make it to the City Hall office first or not, or perhaps I have another engagement for public education. But the fire inspection part is to visit every commercial occupancy, every multifamily, well, let's say every apartment building, senior housing, and churches and other assembly properties throughout the city each year. That's the goal,
Sure.
Every year. To do a fire inspection, so that's taking a look at a building inside and outside and preparing a report, providing that education to the people on site.
Okay.
So I might do that for 1 hour or 8 hours a day. And then there's report writing that follows up with it. Sometime later, not in the same day, but 30 days later or longer, might be a re-inspection to make sure that the codes are complied with. What do I do when I'm not doing an inspection is answer people's questions for how do I test my smoke alarm? Why is my smoke alarm making noise? Can I have a tour of the fire station? Will you come speak to our senior population? Well, our HOA didn't dig out the fire hydrants. Whose job is that? So all those questions, those are problems in the community we hope
Sure.
to address and teach people about so they're able to take care of themselves.
Very cool. I got to imagine that's a pretty daunting task, trying to get to every commercial property, like all those places you listed every year.
True, it is. At this moment, I'm at about 14 months for visiting every property. Roughly, I start on the west end of town over near our fire station number 1 and go up and down and back through the roads, through every property, and takes about, well, every year is a little different and every period of time is different. But at this moment, all the commercial properties, apartment buildings, and assemblies, which would include churches, is about 14 months since I've last visited.
Wow.
I'm very proud of that for myself and for the fire department and the readiness that we've got for the firefighters responding to those locations.
Yeah.
It's also very important to know that people in those spaces have been educated and are taking care of things better. So part of the reason that we can manage a 14-month program is because I've been there numerous times over the last several years, and it's just maintenance now. There's not a lot of catch-up or fixing when people know how to maintain properties
Sure.
that are in compliance with the fire code, city ordinance, and other standards.
Yeah. How hard is that to educate people on the fire code? Because I'm guessing that it's not something that people really dig into, and because it's probably not a really exciting piece of literature to read.
It might not be. The fire code is that's just one way to look at it. It's a big book, Minnesota State Fire Code, published in 2020, and we use that till there's a review. There are other codes and standards and city ordinances, but when a building is built at any time, there was a code under which that building was built. The code might be a building code, and it also included other standards for fire safety, mechanical, plumbing, electrical, all of those things when you build a building from the start, whether that building is 60 years old in the city
Right.
or if we're just breaking ground for a building. The codes change over time. My job as the fire inspector is to ensure that you're in compliance with the code at the time that your building was built.
Got it.
And if things change, then we manage the changes and bring things up to code. So
Okay.
what's included in the code? It's as simple as, are your doors accessible from the inside and the outside? If you have exit signs above the doors, are they lit and can people get to an exit when they need to?
Sure.
Fire extinguishers, how you store things, maintenance of a mechanical room, how you use electricity, whether you're using an extension cord or power strips, these minimal fire safety things
Yeah.
to ensure that you're doing the safest thing. The point is to reduce your risk of fire, which would reduce your risk of injury or loss of life. So we want to have a safe location and allow for people to be able to get out in case there is a hazard or emergency.
Yeah. So how does a property built 60 years ago go back and without potentially damaging infrastructure or having to do a complete remodel, get their property up to code?
They only have to comply with the codes that were in, generally speaking. A building 60 years old in the city of Apple Valley has to comply with the codes that were in place at the time that building was built.
Okay.
For instance, on the west side of town, we have some of the older properties, and they were built solid buildings with doors and windows, mechanical rooms, rooftops, all the things you need to have a building.
Yeah.
But they don't have what we put in buildings today, like fire alarms and fire suppression systems. They do have fire extinguishers.
Sure.
They still have exiting. But at the time those buildings were put up in the 60s, let's say, we don't ask people to change things retroactively
Yeah.
until, generally speaking, until there's a change made for the occupancy.
Oh, sure.
So if you're a little building and you're operating as a convenience store and gas station, and you want to change to a daycare, then that's a code change that would be required. The code has changed. Your requirements change, and you would be required to ensure that your building is up to the current code and building and fire code standards.
That makes sense.
And that's determined when you apply for a permit or licensing for those types of changes.
Got it. Okay. Very cool. How involved were you in the planning and everything for Fire Station 2? Because since that was built, what, 2 years ago?
We just actually took possession and moved in officially in September.
Yeah.
September of 2024.
Okay.
So, but it was a 2-year
Right.
process through, weekly meetings. I attended a majority of those weekly meetings. I don't know that I offered a whole bunch of stuff to,
Sure.
that people know when we had hired the architectural firm, they're already familiar with the newest, greatest, most protective requirements or necessities in a fire station. And then the rest of the group is mostly fire department personnel, and they know how to add to what we are looking for our process. You need health and safety, you need ability to come and go, all those things. So I sat in on most of those meetings, but just the planning and talking kinds.
Yeah. Okay. Did you get to sit in on a lot of the meetings for the new police department building?
Not a single one.
Why is that? Did you just not? You're like, whatever, it's the police department. They can do what they want.
If I had been invited, I would have. But
okay.
I don't know where a lot of times it's a site plan meeting in the city, and I'll listen to that. But I don't look at your plans and make approvals, reviews or approvals or denials of any sort. So once it's built and you're occupying it, I will be there for a regular fire inspection.
Okay.
But until that time, I learned mostly through other departments and the fire marshal probably going through a lot of the the planning and building process.
Okay. So if I wanted to help sabotage that fire inspection, would you like me to move a bunch of stuff in front of doors?
Yes.
And, like, hide the fire extinguishers? Is that...
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Just,
But don't
just to
do
give
it.
you a little bit more work. I don't know if it...
Actually, it would only be work for me to cite the violation, and then it would be on you or
Prove I did it.
whomever's.
Prove I did it.
Someone has to be responsible. Maybe it's the chief
Okay.
or
Well,
your maintenance. I don't know. You know, there's always someone responsible for the
Sure.
building corrections.
if I'm understanding this correctly, you go and inspect existing buildings. And so you don't have a whole lot of input on new construction in the city because those folks should already, based on the architects and the contractors, they should be in the know and know how to do it. And like they're getting signed off by state people. And
That's true. So if you're building a new building in the city, there's a lot of steps before the fire department sees you.
sure.
Planning and development, zoning. Then there's building permits that you're applying for. And when a building permit is applied for, that's probably includes a design from an architect or from yourselves if you're doing your own work. And the a building permit is going to reach out to other areas, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, the fire department, and everybody has their say in what needs to be in that building. Plans come in with that information, and then it's affirmed or confirmed or denied through the planning review process.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. What's the biggest challenge for you getting out to these buildings? I mean, other than just time.
Well, I've been doing this for a number of years now, actually as the fire inspector since 2018, and I've built some great relationships with people. They know who I am when I show up. And it's not adversarial. I mean, it's a friendly visit.
Yeah.
It's not for punishment. It's just to provide education and make sure people are doing safe things for themselves, their employees, and the other people that may come into their space.
I like that because I think people could perceive it as adversarial.
Yes.
And as punishment, right?
Right.
And I'm glad that you said that because that's kind of a crossover for us too, right? Like,
yes,
everybody views our interactions as adversarial,
right,
and as punishment, when the majority of the time we're trying to have a positive interaction with people,
right,
and not, I mean, unless we absolutely need to take enforcement action, it's an educational interaction. But sorry, I interrupted, but I like that, and I think that's interesting that you guys. The goal is the same, right? Education and safety.
That's right.
So.
And the police and fire department work together often, right here in Apple Valley, right?
Yeah.
That's on an incident level, never on my inspection level. That's all about safety and prevention and goodwill in the community. Every one of those interactions, that's all it's for. And taking care of people when they've had what they perceive or is an emergency.
Right.
No punishment, no judgment. It's just taking care of it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly an inspection is welcomed. People are thankful that they've learned something. There's a lot of I spend a lot of time talking to people.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know, or I forgot, or I've got it scheduled. No problem. I don't want to punish anyone. The whole point of the fire inspection is not to make sure everybody's compliant, which would be a great goal, but it's also to prepare for an emergency should we be contacted to come to one. So if the firefighters are going to show up at a location that I've been to or not, I hope that we've got enough of a pre-plan prepared. And that is part of what an inspection is. Show me what this building looks like, what's in it, what are they doing in there, and is it a pretty safe place to go?
Sure.
Mostly that's what we've got around town.
That makes a lot of sense.
So I also take all the information I get on an inspection, and I have a computer program that allows me to build a little bit of a pre-plan. It's not a visual, it's some words, but we have some standards about what you're looking for when you arrive to a building for any type of fire call, fire incident. And I store that information in a computer system. So anytime a firefighter, any truck is arriving at a scene, they can take a quick look at the words about that
Sure.
building or that location.
Yeah.
And it might be a building that has one occupant, one business in it, or it may be, a Wings building with several stories and
Yeah.
different things to consider.
Sure.
So I try to build that in. It includes things like parking ramps and elevators and suppression systems. And, if it's manufacturing or if it's just a business office, is it little kids? Is it people that cannot self-rescue?
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you know a little bit about, if you can anticipate what you're called to,
Yeah.
you can be better prepared.
Yep.
And like the police department, it doesn't matter what we're dispatched to, it matters what we find.
Right.
So you can be as prepared, but what do you find upon your arrival?
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. I've never thought of it that way, right? Like, hey, you guys are dispatched to something like, it could be as simple as we're constantly getting dispatched to smell of smoke. But you get there, and luckily, we're always on the road ready to go, and so we get there first, and we can relay information to you guys before you arrive.
Count on that.
Yeah, because hey, neighbor smells smoke. We get there, and there's a house where, there's clearly smoke coming out of windows, and you're like, oh, that's not normal.
Yeah, that's called
Right.
a size up, right?
Yeah.
What'd you see? Tell me what you see.
Right, yeah. Interesting. But then to put it back on the police department too, how you said that we can be as prepared as the information that we're given, but it depends on what we find.
Right, and that's all that what you find is what matters.
What a great way to think about that.
There's a little preparation, like a pre-fire, a pre-plan, whatever you call it, just a pre-plan. What do I expect? If I tell you an address like 7100 147th Street, you know what it is.
I know what it
It's
is.
the City Hall
Yeah.
building, right?
Right.
So you kind of know what's here, but you can make a picture in your head.
Yeah, so I know that people can self-rescue.
Yep. And
Right.
it's a business office generally. Cars come and go. There's traffic through.
Yeah. But if you say the villa,
Yeah,
I'm like, oh no,
right.
we got to get resources.
That's right. The villa is a big apartment building with a lot of people of varying abilities
Yeah.
on 5 floors, plus a parking garage. Here's one thing that calms me a little bit when there's a fire. Of course,
Yeah.
there's the or smoke or the alarms are sounding. Those things send the most resources automatically through our 911 dispatching system. The most resources are called to an event that seems to be a big event. Fire alarm, sprinklers, smoke in the building. I smell fire. Knowing about the villa is that it's a large building, and yes, there's a lot of variety for abilities, but it's got the alarm and it's got a sprinkler system.
Yeah.
So
So
we
the suppression
know-
system is there.
Right.
That
A lot of people still believe every day that there's going to be a big fire event when it's not it's a low incident but high risk event.
Yeah.
We want to know that we're protecting ourselves and those people best back to the codes.
Sure. Oh man, yeah, that makes sense. How many people are on staff with the fire department? Do you have any ideas?
I do. So overall, we're allotted 75
Okay.
paid on-call firefighter positions
Yeah.
over 3 fire stations to cover the 17 square miles of Apple Valley.
Mm-hmm.
We're currently nearly fully staffed at 71 firefighters.
Wow.
We do start our application process in April. That runs throughout the month of April.
Okay.
And we will recruit, hire, and train you to become a firefighter in Apple Valley.
Very cool.
You put in your application. We also have 5 full-time staff. That's the chief, the deputy chief, the fire marshal, the fire inspector, and our department assistant.
Okay.
With the exception of the department of assistant, we are all firefighters.
Okay.
The chief, the deputy chief, marshal, and me.
So are there any requirements for the recruit position or the firefighter position? So if I wanted to apply, what are the requirements?
Anyone can apply. I mean, it's an online process through
Okay.
government jobs, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
you apply. What would qualify you for the position?
Yeah.
In Apple Valley as a paid on-call firefighter, the minimums require that you be 18. You have graduated from high school or have an equivalent
Yep.
diploma, and that you have you can drive,
Yes.
and that you live within 4 minutes of the fire station as determined by the chief.
Oh.
So we base, and I'll qualify that, it's generally known where the areas are around each fire station that will meet the 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But we do take, the chief takes the time to do multiple driving times from the location that you claim as your home to the fire station.
Okay.
So 4 minutes or less.
Yeah, because I can imagine that changes based on time of day.
It can.
Right? Like 2 a.m., it's probably pretty easy to get.
But if you're at 2 a.m., if it takes you 4 minutes and 1 second, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it's a 6.5 minute reply.
Right.
So that would probably not qualify.
Right.
I can't imagine that there'd be a time that would fit in.
Yeah.
So if you live, for instance, some addresses south of County Road 42 don't qualify for parts of the city for response.
Sure.
Not every part, but
Yeah.
some parts. And then if a person lives in Lakeville, there's no Lakeville address that can respond to Apple Valley.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some Burnsville areas that had previously qualified the 4 minute drive time. So you don't have to be a resident of Apple Valley, but as you can see where we're located, that 4 minutes is a small.
It's a very small window.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody in Rosemont?
Not at this time, but I think.
Because I would assume just on the other side of Diamond Path, you can still get to Fire Station 3.
You're right. I don't know the answer for 4 minutes on that.
Interesting.
But it seems reasonable.
It does.
It does seem reasonable. We haven't had anybody who's lived in Rosemont in a very long time.
Okay.
But of course, everything's developed now.
Yeah.
Between here and there.
Right.
So 4 minutes was feasible at one time. It was a regular event. Now it would be not a regular event.
Fire Station 1 is 42 in Hayes.
Correct.
And then Fire Station 2 is 140th in Galaxy.
Correct.
And Fire Station 3 is, let's say, for major geographical location, Pilot and 142nd.
Correct.
So those are pretty spread out. Which fire station has the most call-outs?
Over time, it's been Fire Station 2 because of its center of the city location. Yeah. Fire Station 1's been very busy this year.
Okay. And
Fire Station 3 is learning to get busier as we develop south of 42.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's interesting that, from an outsider's perspective, it made sense that Fire Station 2 would be updated first based on its location and proximity to, taking calls in for Apple Valley, for the police department, anything north of 140th is 20 area. And so my assumption is because they're just north of there, they get dispatched to a lot of that 20 area. But then they also have to run straight down Galaxy to Galaxy and 157th to the apartment complex down there, and even Foliage and 157th.
True.
So
those are long reaches, but they are within the Station 2 dispatch area. The way that's calculated, at one time we had what was called a fire beat, or an area in the city, and there's several of them that would estimate how much time it takes to get to a location. All the dispatching these days is CAD based, so automatic with the computer systems. When you call 911 and you make a complaint, meaning you're reporting something and you need police, fire, or an ambulance, the fire department is dispatched based on the closest unit. So if you call me from the Villa and say I fell and I need help getting up, the closest unit is going to be dispatched. It's all computerized. Yeah. And that happens to be Engine 2. Apple Valley Engine 2 from Station 2. But if you call me from Cowboy Jack's and say, someone passed out in the bar, that is right on the edge of the Station 2 and Station 1 driving ability. Station 1's Engine 1 would be dispatched to that location.
Interesting.
True. And then during the day, as you're familiar with our duty crew, that staffed program, paid on call firefighters who take shifts and work duty crew. When the duty crew is staffed, then that is always the closest unit for single engine calls.
Okay.
Falls, passed out.
Medical events.
Medical events typically.
Yeah, because so one of the interesting things since I've been here, when we started, we were like EMSRB certified first responders, right? And you guys at the fire department have taken over some of that patient care on scene, that some of the more robust type things. That's been an interesting shift, and that was something that for the police department was kind of hard to adjust to at first. But I appreciate that, because one of the things that, you know, I've understood as I've gotten longer in this career is that being a police officer but having higher level of medical care, those are two highly trained skills, and which one do you sacrifice to train more, right? And so for you guys in the fire department, you train every Monday night, right?
And Thursday mornings.
And every Monday night and Thursday mornings. So you guys are doing your fire training stuff. You guys must do rehearsals of getting out of the station and that sort of thing too, because I see that once in a while.
Like practice how fast can you get the truck on the road?
Totally.
Oh, we have enough calls that we can do that. I think we're over 500 calls already.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So because I just, and maybe again, this is my, clearly we're showing how not ignorant, but how little I know about how you folks train. You also have opportunity to train a lot of medical stuff in those Monday night, Thursday morning trainings, right?
Yeah, there are minimums that we have to meet for medical and firefighting skills.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah. And maybe this is a question for somebody else, and later on down the road, years, whatever that looks like. But Burnsville has their model of fire and medic combo. Is that something that Apple Valley Fire Department has considered, has looked at? Is that something that, like a full-time fire department, is that a possibility?
At this moment, I don't think so, but not that I've ever discussed it in the fire department. But that's a different model. Fire medic is different than fire rescue.
Because they run, and Burnsville runs their own ambulances, and we use Alina and Elf.
Right.
But like the patient care side of that, like you guys have a pretty robust training set in there, or skill set.
I remember when the Apple Valley Police went to a lot more medicals earlier in my career, and then has backed off of some of that, or we've taken. I don't know how that decision came about, but I can make some guesses, and I think we do have a minimum when we train our recruits.
Yeah.
The minimum is emergency medical responder. Mm-hmm. You can make a difference for someone, whether it's a Band-Aid or splinting or CPR. Mm-hmm. Those administering oxygen, very basic necessities that you can take care of. A firefighter can take care of. Oh, so I think the police officers can too, as a rule. Yeah. Generally.
The funny part is our medical bags don't have Band-Aids. So people will ask us for Band-Aids, and we're like, yeah, we don't. I can stop major hemorrhaging, but I can't stop.
Right. So
I can't stop your hangnail.
A life threat right now. How can you intervene in a life threat? Right. ABCs: airway, breathing, circulation. Take care of those things. So, and the bleeding, traumatic bleeding. That's a big deal. But we only train people to EMR and ask them to maintain that, and that's where we perform as an emergency medical responder. When we assist on the medic rigs, we are only helping. They're generally not our scenes. Right. So over the years, many, many people have become more highly trained as an EMT. And they might do the EMT's level of work that can allow more action on a medical call. Yeah. Whether they do that as part of their jobs, another job that they do, and the rest of their lives. And we do have a fair number of people that work as firefighter EMTs in other locations, or fire medic in a couple of places. We have at least one nurse on the fire department, another person who's at the sheriff's office, and all those skills are transferable to the other things that they do in their life. Or maybe the firefighting was just an addition to what they had done in the rest of their life. Yeah. So we do. The majority of the calls that the fire department is dispatched to are medical calls. Mm-hmm. And as you said, yes, we help. We have a line or the L in the ELF service area that does all the transports. Yeah. Fire department doesn't. That's a whole nother That's a whole different discussion.
Yeah, that's a big shift in service.
Right.
Like that. And then the skill set that's needed for that.
Skills, trucks, where to store the trucks,
Mm-hmm.
people on staff 24 hours a day at the
Right.
location. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about Fire Station 2 now that it's 6 months and you've been able to get in there and work out the bugs and figure out?
That's happening. I really like. Have you been in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Okay, so the kitchen has that counter where you can sit at the counter, and I like the lights. I mean, I know it's just decorative, right? The lighting
Yeah,
purposes, but they're so neat.
But I tell you what, I like being in there because I'll go in there about 12:30 or, sometime around midnight and just kind of, like I take my dog in there and we train in there once in a while.
Good.
Yeah. He's not a big fan of the tower in there, the stairs.
Oh, well, yeah, that would be hard probably for his feet.
I think it's a visual thing for him. He doesn't trust that he's not going to fall directly through to the ground.
Okay, yeah, the
Because
training
he can see it.
Yeah. The training tower that's pretty fantastic for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. So I do like sitting at that counter in there because I've brought my laptop in there and written reports.
Yep.
Just being able to sit in there and
It's nice lighting. It can be the whole room or just the countertop, but I like the red light. It just stands out. It looks like it was so intentional.
well, I hope it was.
And I've had a couple groups to the fire station, educational,
Yeah.
some training, and our training facility upstairs with the computers built in, all the, you run the computer by using a touchpad on the wall, and it's nice space.
Yeah.
There's a coffee machine. I mean, what else do I need?
So you guys are running. I've been over there on a Tuesday night, and it looks like there's an academy going on.
So Tuesday night is the night that the fire recruit class gets together every Tuesday night between September and about now. Tuesday nights is their in-house training part of the academy.
Okay.
So typically the fire department academy includes Apple Valley, Lakeville, and Farmington. So you might see fire people from all of those groups.
Yep.
And it would be on Tuesday nights. I think that's the only thing that's been going on Tuesday nights, but we also offer periodically, kind of continuously, advanced training. Things like Officer 1, Officer 2 instructors, fire investigations class. That's an outside, someone that will come in and use our space. So you'll see those on maybe Tuesday sometimes.
Okay.
There's enough space that we can actually train in the station together.
Yeah.
Parking's at a premium, but we do have room for people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there could be a classroom training going on, or there could be physical training.
Yeah. You made a couple of mentions about Officer 1, Officer 2. What's the rank structure like for, like, if you were to join the fire department, what does the rank structure look like, and how do you progress?
Everybody joins as a recruit after they've managed to get their certifications. Minimum certifications is Fire 1, Fire 2, EMR, and hazardous materials. Then you're a probationary until you've satisfied the next set of requirements and you get badged, and now you're a firefighter.
Okay.
And once you're a firefighter, you have the opportunity to apply for and promote to other positions. Typically, the next one is lieutenant. And then after that is a captain. We also have 2 assistant chiefs.
Okay.
Plus the deputy chief,
Yep.
who's also our training officer,
Okay.
and then the chief. Fire inspector and fire marshal, we're also a regular full-time position, so we are not part of that group anymore, although we are firefighters.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between full-time staff is a city employee, full-time,
Yep.
and the firefighters are paid on call
Yeah.
city employees. But you can't be both, and that has to do with a retirement account.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Right?
Yep, that makes sense. I'm sure you fall, like, so is it MSRS or is it para?
It's para for the full-time
Yep.
staff, and there's a fire relief association for the firefighters paid on call.
Interesting.
And you spend enough years with the fire department, you're vested.
Yeah.
And then improvements investing, and then I think it's still 20-year.
Okay.
I don't actually know right now. Not part of it anymore.
Yeah. Did I ask how long have you been on the
No,
fire department?
but I've been here for 18 years.
18 years.
2007 was my start date.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And you started paid on call
I
and
did.
then worked your way to fire inspector.
Yes. Well, when I started as a paid-on-call firefighter, I mean, I really wanted to be a firefighter for a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I could be a firefighter in Apple Valley because this sign would get hung up on fire station. And I've been here, living here all this time.
Yeah.
I'd see that sign on the fire station when it was called Volunteers Wanted. We called them volunteer firefighters.
Yeah.
And while it's still voluntary to have a part-time position, you're highly trained.
Mm-hmm.
You do get paid. You do get a retirement. And you're going to learn things that you never thought you never thought about.
Right.
But also every skill set you've got in your life can be used as a firefighter.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't know who to call, who do you call? The fire department. 'Cause
Right.
we got all these things we know. Put it together and make it work.
Yeah.
So I joined. I didn't, I kept saying, oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I could see myself as a firefighter, and finally someone mentioned it, and I applied, and I got chosen. It was a lot of people applying, and I think 15 of us were chosen, and then went through the academy,
Yeah.
and there's not that many of us still remaining because it's a little bit transient at sometimes.
Can be, yeah, I'm sure.
One of the first calls I went on was this pretty traumatic medical call, and I thought, oh my gosh, I should probably get some more training.
Yeah.
So I put myself through EMT, and then other opportunities just kept coming up, and I took every one of those classes that got
Right.
offered and went to schools and saw that there was something much more than just taking care of emergencies. What if we could prevent it? I mean, what if we told people how not to have that happen?
Yeah.
And that just sort of went to the education. We have the Fire Prevention Week and
Yeah.
showing up in the public, and people see only the good until they need a firefighter from a 911 call. So let's tell all the good things that we've got.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll have fewer fires. We do.
Right.
Maybe we'll have people managing the safety of their own homes with electricity and smoke alarms and carbon monoxide and grills and, all those things.
Yeah.
So I just kept doing that. And then and I prepared myself for, well, what am I going to do with this? Well, let's just see what happens. And then the fire inspector position became available, and I applied for it.
Very cool.
So here I am.
And you've been doing that since 2018.
Correct.
And you get to drive one of the coolest trucks on the road, don't you?
The big pickup truck?
Yeah.
It certainly brings a lot of comments.
I bet it does.
I mean, it's not something I would have chosen for myself ever. I mean, I would really like to have a 5-speed Honda Civic or a Nissan Sentra. To me, that's super fun. That's fun.
Interesting.
You're attentive and driving, and you can manage your speeds and how your vehicle handles.
Yeah.
Instead, I drive a 3/4-ton GMC pickup, right?
Right. Yeah. And if you had a 5-speed manual transmission, that's the best anti-theft device out there these days.
Right. It is.
Because nobody knows how to drive
That is
them
so
anymore.
true.
Yeah. Everybody's got these push button, whatever.
No, that's fun.
Yeah, my truck's got the knob that you turn. You can't, like, if I get stuck in the snow, I can't rock it anymore because the electronic transmission won't shift fast
Right.
enough.
Yeah, we give up some things when you
Oh,
have
my
technology.
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, that truck, people do appreciate the truck. I mean, people that want one, right? Oh, I love your truck. Oh, that's so great. But I've also had a comment like, what do you need that big truck for?
Wow.
I mean, I might have to pull a boat or a trailer
Yeah.
or carry people around or maybe pick up equipment, move it between places. And the 4-wheel drive is nice when you need it. And a backup camera, I mean, really, that's cool. It's so big, I need a backup camera.
Well, I totally agree. I like my backup camera too.
Right.
I was always I haven't had my backup camera for very long, but like when I got my truck, I was like, I'm never using that thing. I'm always using my mirrors. And now I find myself looking at that screen a little bit more each day, and I'm like, I remember the days.
You do need I feel like the camera is necessary in that truck to get a visual of what I can't see in my mirror. Mm-hmm. But those mirrors are invaluable.
Yeah.
For everything. Same in a fire truck. There's no backup camera in our fire trucks.
No.
You got to know how to use your mirror.
You use ground guides too, right?
We do. We always have a spotter. Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe 2.
I gotta say, I do enjoy the fact that you guys have a little, like the car wash station in Fire Station 2.
Well, it's not really that.
I know that's not what it is, but I can tell you that I've used it to hose out the back of my squad once or twice.
Well, that's okay as long as you clean up after yourself.
Yeah.
Squeegee the floor.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
It took me a little bit of doing to figure out how to turn that stuff on,
I
but
bet.
once I did, I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, at Station 2 with the new hot seat and the
yeah.
built-in soap and
Yeah. That has been...
It's been very popular. That is a nice perk as
Yeah.
part of the fire department to be able to stop and wash out something in a warm place.
Yeah, my squad had taken on a foul smell, and I don't know what it was, but I was like, oh man, I gotta hose this thing out. And it's just me and Virgil in there.
Right.
You know, we don't have people ride with us unless it's somebody that I'm having as a ride along.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I don't know what it was.
Is it gone now?
Yeah, it took a long time though. It's the previous K9 handler that had that squad. His dog had some gastrointestinal issues in the back every once in a while.
Oh, funny. Or not.
Not funny, because I inherited that squad. Granted, it wasn't very old when I inherited it, but my wonder is like what's under that kennel in the back seat, because there's dead space under there.
Oh.
Where it's just the aluminum platform that my dog has.
Does it come out?
With some work,
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
absolutely. Not work that I'm willing to put in, because I don't know if I'd put it back together
Right.
correctly, and then my dog would be back there probably getting hurt because I forgot a couple of screws or lost screws.
Oh, my.
But, yeah, so that when I recognized what that was, I was like, oh, man, I got to get in there and use that. But I do use Fire Station 2 a lot for training, so I appreciate the access to it, too.
That's good.
Is there anything that you want the public to know about the fire department? Like, it can be just something that has been kind of needling you for a long time that you wish you had an opportunity to just tell everybody in the city. Like, you know, you walk up, shake their hands, and say, hey, did you know?
There's a lot of misinformation about the fire department or not informed parts of the public. For as much as we talk to people and as often as we're out in the public, me or everybody, so oftentimes there'll be something going on in a person's house and we get called eventually, or the neighbor calls, and the person will say, well, I called my mom. I wanted to know what to do. Or I called my husband and he's coming home. Meanwhile, you got a kitchen on fire.
Yeah.
Your first call should be 911.
Yeah.
It costs you nothing. We promise we'll come, and hopefully we're going to avert your bigger crisis.
Yeah.
We aren't there to judge you. We aren't there to arrest you. We aren't there to give you a ticket. We're not there to point a finger. We're literally just there for free to help you when you need help.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who you need, you just tell the dispatcher when you call 911, I need help. I have a fire. I fell down. I can't get up.
Yeah.
I backed the car into the garage door. I mean, I drove through the front door of Panera. Remember that? Did you see? People drive
don't
through
remember
buildings
that.
all the time.
They do.
So what do? You call 911.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. You guys came out. We had that unfortunate accident where the person went off the end of the road into the townhouse.
Oh, yes. Oh, right over by Station 1.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
There's a lot of building drive-throughs, drive-ins.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Yeah.
More than the average consumer would know. Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
It is wild. I don't know what people are doing.
Because you guys come out and assess some of that structural stuff too,
Well,
to make sure that the structure's still safe.
Typically, we could take a look at it, but I'm going to call the building department to come out and take a look, because that's happened. I mean, there have been times when it's been deemed uninhabitable for that while. But we'll come out to make sure there isn't any further hazard. We're getting called for the medical side of it. If someone got hurt, whether you're in the car or out of the car, and coming for whatever might happen to your vehicle if you've crashed into a building, well, there's a lot of fluids and things in your car that can be compromised and can cause damage or a fire. Your airbags might have gone off. That's a medical emergency in itself. So, yeah. Maybe for traffic control.
Yeah.
Maybe to extricate someone who can't get themselves out.
We just used you and your team last week for that. We had You guys came out with all your fun tools. And,
We do have some fun tools.
And just the door on the vehicle that we were trying to get the person out of would not open. And based on injuries, we couldn't move him through the vehicle.
Okay.
Whatever it was came out and just basically turned that door into what looked like, I don't know, folded it like a $2 accordion.
Yes. So that's a spreader.
Yeah.
And we literally pop doors open with a spreader.
Yeah.
Like the opposite of a...
Like pliers. It's the opposite of a pliers.
The opposite of a pliers. You put it, get a purchase point and let it do its work. Just turn the handle and it literally, the spreader will spread apart pieces of metal.
Yep. It was super
or
cool. Or
plastic if it's the plastic on the car.
No, this one was old enough that it was still metal. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Without any effort. I mean, the biggest effort is holding the tool.
They don't look light.
No, they're not. Because they're battery operated now.
Oh, sure.
And which was a benefit. You go from a gas-powered piece of equipment to battery-operated. Now the battery is part of the unit.
Yeah.
It can add some weight, but the gas-powered equipment that we used to use, cutters and spreaders, sometimes people call them the jaws of life.
Sure.
The cutters and spreaders were on long cords.
Yeah.
That went back to a gas-powered engine, and then the engine powered through the cords, and so you have to carry all those things. You have to carry 2 sets of cords for the spreader and the cutter and the whole equipment. Now it's one piece of equipment with a battery that's very strong. The battery's strong, the tool is strong. It does as good a work as our gas-powered did. Now I'm not promoting batteries. I'm just saying that program works.
Okay, so that's a cool. Here's something that we were talking about this last night. Some of the things that have been coming out about electric vehicle fires. Is that a concern for the Apple Valley Fire Department?
The concern would be if there's a damaged vehicle, and that's often not known, or if there is a fire.
Yeah.
So what we know is that copious amounts of water would be required to put that fire out. A fire truck carries 500 gallons of water typically. Mm-hmm. We can have more water get more water from a fire hydrant. Yeah. A typical car fire can be extinguished, and we've done this for years and years and years. Car fires all the time. It's very common.
Yes, it is.
You can put out a car fire with less than the full tank of water on your truck.
Okay.
That's less than 500 gallons.
Yeah.
That will not happen with a electric vehicle fire. Oof. It's thousands of gallons. Oof. And also know that putting water onto an electric vehicle is a different chemical process, different chemical reaction that is not what we have in a gas-powered vehicle.
Right.
So the risk, I don't know if the risk is different. The hazard when a fire happens is different.
Yeah.
And the runoff and the water use and that. So we haven't seen that happening here in Apple Valley, but we know lots of parts of the country, surrounding areas.
Yeah. One of the interesting things that this conversation reminded me of is the engines of vehicles will start on fire, and that's the main place.
Correct.
And they got the firewall to protect the cabin or the actual occupant, the passenger compartment of the vehicle. But everybody always does this. They jump out of their car and they go, "Oh my gosh, my engine is smoking. I got to see what's going on." Right. And they open the hood, and what are they doing?
Then they introduce oxygen.
Which does what?
Which can cause the fire to erupt.
Yes.
Cause the smoke to erupt into a fire.
Right.
That's true in any place.
Yeah.
Any place where you introduce oxygen to a smoldering ignition phase fire, that will erupt into a bigger fire.
Yeah. I think hopefully people hear that and they'll go, "Oh man, my engine's smoking. I better not open the hood."
Probably not.
Not until the fire department gets
here. A lot of times people, when they have a vehicle fire or smoking, they already know what their problem is.
Yeah.
I mean, a hose can burst, and you get some steam release. Smoking and steam turn out to be different things.
Absolutely.
So on your investigation, that's probably easy to determine. Maybe not every driver, but...
Not for every driver.
Right, not for every driver.
There's a lot of assumptions that we...
Right. When I see what looks like smoke, I call it smoke. Mm-hmm. And that happens in lots of places, not just in cars. But we'll come and determine that for you. You don't have to open the hood. First off, you might hurt yourself.
Right.
And that's the biggest concern. The car, if it's on fire, is already going to be a total loss. So leave it alone. It doesn't matter what's happening.
Right.
If it's got fire, it's at the end of its life. I don't know any car that survives a fire.
No.
Especially under the hood.
Right. And that, the difference for me knowing this is that steam will dissipate and smoke will not.
Right.
Smoke continues to build, steam will dissipate.
As long as there's that source of heat behind it, yeah. And that does. It builds. There's phases.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else that you can think of that the citizens of Apple Valley or whoever happens to listen to this podcast would know?
Single biggest thing that people can do for their own safety is to, in their own homes, go through a fire safety checklist. Are your exits clear? Have you got hazards put away or not existing in your home? If you have a lot of things on the floors and the counters, or you like to collect, save things, boxes, newspapers, laundry that needs to be done, whatever it is, all of that stuff is fuel. So if there were to be a fire, that is all of those things can be fuel for the fire.
Sure.
So let's reduce what we have, make sure our exits are clear, and have working smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. And they are not the same. They are two different things. You need both. If you have a problem and you need help, call 911. Don't waste the energy calling something ahead of time. There are fires in homes, in apartments, places where people are. Sometimes it's carelessness. Sometimes it's coincidence. Most fires can be prevented. And while fire is a very small portion of what the fire department actually responds to, it's a very big hazard, particularly for your health and safety.
Yeah.
So if we can reduce the number of times that we have a fire, we'll have better outcomes.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Oh, I could talk all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if anybody wants to hear you and I talk all day.
Okay.
They probably don't
Fair
want
enough.
to. They don't want to hear me talk. That's for sure. Which is why I continue to have guests on here. Otherwise, it's just Cody's opinion.
Well, that's one way to do it, isn't it?
I guess. Yeah. Colleen, thank you very much for coming on today. It was fun. I'm going to ask one last question. You mentioned the fire safety checklist. Is there something that people can find online?
Absolutely.
Or, do you have a fire safety checklist on the Apple Valley website?
We do. So on the applevalley.mn.gov/fire website, or just go to the City of Apple Valley website.
Yeah.
We have on the fire page, we have education and prevention. We have a whole list of items that you can click on and read.
Sure.
And even print out if you want. In fact, I just printed a bunch of fire safety checklists to take to an HOA meeting I'll be attending next week, where we're going to talk about fire safety in our homes.
Yeah, very cool.
And those when we're attached to other people. And working alarms.
Big deal.
You'll learn a lot of things on the website.
Okay, cool.
Good.
Well, thanks for coming in today, Colleen.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for the opportunity. I really had fun.
Good. Hey, folks, we want this to be engaging for you as well, so please drop a comment wherever you follow us on social media. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to this podcast. Tell your friends, tell your family. We'd like to get this out to as many people as possible. We want people to know who the police officers of Apple Valley are. If you have questions or comments, something you'd like to hear about, reach out to us. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to address some of those topics that you guys have questions about as well. We look forward to having you back next time.